All right, I think we are recording. Yes, we are. Okay. Hi, my name is Mary Gannett, and this is for my EDU 6000 course. I'm here interviewing an educator, and I will let her introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Camille Ramirez, and I teach science at Ridgeview High School.
Awesome. Thank you for being with me today, Camille. All right. The first question I have for you is how do you foster a learning environment that is emotionally safe for your students?
So I actually really love doing SEL stuff in class. I try to make my class as comforting and welcoming as possible. I talk about treating each other with respect and kindness, and I demonstrate that myself. Um, and I also do things like meditation Mondays to try to just kind of make sure we're all in peaceful zone if we've had a bad day and things like that.
That's awesome. Do you employ any classroom routines that help structure the day for your students?
Um, I I have a lot of procedures in class, like how to get Chromebooks, how to put them away. I don't actually have very many structured things throughout the day, like when they come in. But I kind of like it that way because I my kids normally come up to me like, "Hey, what are we doing today?" And I'm just like to leave it a mystery sometimes. So maybe it makes them a little more excited for class.
Mystery behind it all.
Yeah.
When you began teaching, did you know much about mandated assessments?
I knew a little bit just because my mom is also a teacher, but she's an elementary school teacher, so I had heard her talking about it over the years. But other than that, I didn't really know what I would be expected to do as far as the state testing.
How do you make sure that subject matter is accessible to all of your students?
I definitely try to make sure that students feel comfortable asking questions and knowing that it's okay to not understand and know and explain it in different ways. Use visuals for students, who are maybe second language learners, um, and give a variety of ways to explain it. Um,
With these unprecedented times, how do you maintain a spirit of collaboration, humility, and flexibility in your classroom?
I mean, I told them from day one, hey guys, we're all new to this. I'm new to Canvas, you're new to Canvas. I understand Wi-Fi or internet issues may be happening. I'm not gonna punish you because things happen. I have students that literally will message me and say, hey, can I go help my mom get groceries really fast? I'll be right back. And I'm like, yeah, you're at home. You should, come back and I will either. And I've actually had a lot of students too answer the questions to the other students in class, we're all kind of in there
Oh,
together helping each other out, so it's been
oh,
pretty.
that's wonderful. So you have collaboration in your classroom as well.
Yeah, my students have totally been helping each other out. Someone will ask a question and I'll be like, and I've repeated it already, and I'll have students be like, she said, and give the answer too. So it's nice to see each other helping each other out and being understanding with each other.
Oh, very cool. In order to progress in your profession, what professional development are you seeking?
Um, so we've done a lot of professional development stuff through Kern High. I totally have loved all the SEL training that we've done. I've gone to some conferences in San Diego even for it. So just more. For me, I would love more SEL training to continue doing that.
That's awesome. I mean, especially with everything going on now, it's important to have that connection with your
Yeah,
students.
I guess probably some more technical training too. Now that we're all online, some extra. I've learned a few new tricks that we can use.
Absolutely. Did you know what your learning style was before you began teaching, or did you figure it out as you were teaching?
I mean, I knew I'm pretty chill, and I have the mom vibe. I have teenagers, so I kind of feel like I mother them in a way, with love and compassion, and trying to get them to do the things that they need to do and lift them up so they have the courage to strive for things that they maybe didn't think that they could strive for.
Hmm.
So I kind of knew I was already like that, but I didn't really know what SEL was before, so learning about all of those strategies and stuff kind of like really propelled me into that type of a teacher, going to those other trainings.
That's awesome. How do you stop yourself from getting overwhelmed when you have challenges in the classroom? That's
Um,
something I struggle with. So,
I honestly, I feel like sometimes it just takes time. Um, Time being a teacher and even time just like as an adult. Like if I was in my 20s, I don't know if I'd be as patient as I am now in my 30s. So kind of just like I've always like teenagers have so much stuff on their plate and so many things going on and stuff running through their brain. Like I really don't take it personally because they'll snap at you and say things, but it's not necessarily what you're doing. It's just because they have so much stuff going on internally. So I really try to just keep that in mind that it's not, just they might be having a moment or a day and give them some space and some kindness and hopefully it'll help their mood.
that's very true. I feel that heavily. How do you help students make connections between what they're learning now and what they may have learned in different subjects in the past? Do you make a bridge between the subjects somehow?
I definitely try. So I'll try to like bring stuff up because again, my kids are high school and junior high age, so I'm very familiar with the things that they've been learning. So I can be like, "Hey, I know you guys talked about this in seventh grade. Do you remember?" And or other things that I know that they've gone over the past couple years. Um, or even just things in math class when we do stuff in science and we have to graph or things like that. I'm like, hey, I literally will ask them like, hey, how many of you guys are doing this in your math class right now? So I can kind of see who
Yeah.
already knows and who needs a little more help or
Oh, that's awesome. So, like, even making connections to what they're learning right now.
yeah.
Awesome. What teaching strategies do you employ to help build on the cultural knowledge that your students bring with them to class?
Whenever I give like examples, so like when we talk about vocabulary or new like scientific concepts, I will definitely try to give examples that I know they're familiar with. So it's even things that have to do with like Bakersfield, like, hey, have you driven to LA? Like when you drive towards LA down the Grapevine, you'll cross the San Andreas Fault right there. Like just trying to bring in parts that I know kids will understand what I'm talking about because it helps kind of like solidify that
Visualize
in
it
their
for
brain,
you.
yeah, and visualize it.
Oh, that's awesome. Are you aware of the different types of learning environments?
Um, Not really.
That's
I
completely
mean,
okay. I
um,
didn't know how to define them either, but like I feel like what you talked about and like a lot of your different strategies that you use a lot of these different learning strategies, like the knowledge centered learning strategy, which focuses on making connections with students' knowledge, and then also the student based connections is like understanding where the students are coming from. I feel like all of us like do these things, but don't really realize we're doing it and don't know the
yeah,
specific terms for them.
yeah, I didn't know there were like specific terms for
Yeah,
that.
right? It's really cool. What are the ways that you familiarize yourself with your students and assess their learning strengths? How do you kind of
Um,
keep that?
so I mean, which what's hard right now is not seeing my students every day and not getting to just talk to them because so many of them are shy and don't want to talk so much on Zoom.
Mhm.
But in normal times, like I talk to my students all the time about, like just getting to know them as in general, which kind of helps you understand how they are and how they can learn. And then also I can pick up on certain students who aren't very good at like math or that need a little help understanding certain concepts. And then there's always the kids that get things really quickly too, and you can kind of like help utilize them. Like, hey, I know you're sitting next to Johnny and he doesn't understand this. Can you help, explain that while I go over here and help,
Mhm.
you know?
Oh, that's cool. I like that. How do you work to ensure that there aren't instances of intolerance in your classroom? And do you take some sort of preventative measures to stop that from happening?
Um, yeah, I definitely don't let any of that happen in my classroom. You can see like those banners right there. Those are like our school motto. So like the pack where it's practice respect, act responsibly, consider others, and keep our school safe. So I give a big talk in the beginning of the year about what all those mean, especially in my classroom, about being respectful to not just me, but to each other and to themselves, and considering others, and being kind to one another. So I kind of don't let kids talk bad to each other or treat each other badly in my classroom.
Yeah,
That's
I
kind of
think
like
that's
my
really
number one rule.
good. Does your school have measures in place that help protect students from bullying, racism, and sexism?
Yeah, they actually recently gave the students a Canvas course talking about that. Um, we, as teachers, have also gone through several trainings on how to deal with that and how to identify those things. Um, and I'm trying to think what else. They've kind of made it even in their Instagram account for Ridgeview. They've posted things about, hey, if you're noticing these things or you see this, like contact here. Here's some supports, emails or not emails, but like phone numbers. So they've kind of made it
That's
pretty,
awesome.
yeah,
And making it accessible to the students too, which is so important.
yeah.
Did your district give training on how to deal with bullying, racism, sexism, harassment, and intolerance in the classroom?
Oh yeah, that's yeah, all the stuff I just like
And all of
yeah.
it.
So
Just basically said all
we
that.
they've given us multiple trainings, us and the students.
Yeah, which is so important to get the students involved too. So like I'm
Yeah,
so glad they're doing that. Have you ever been in a situation where you've seen intolerances of students in your classroom, and how did you respond?
yeah. I mean, I've heard students kind of sometimes like make offhand comments, and most of the time they're not necessarily they weren't trying to be insensitive or rude to one another, but like there was one time I had a student that was like, "Oh, that's gay," and using it as like a negative term, and I had a gay student in my class. And so my comment was just like, "Oh, you mean it's fabulous?" Like to try to like, and then I kind of told him like, "Hey, you really shouldn't be using gay as a negative. Like
Hmm.
that you might not mean it as something that's hurtful, but somebody can hear that and take it, be hurt by it. So just make
Hmm.
sure you're watching what you're saying in class.
Yeah, just being careful not to hurt other people's feelings
Yeah,
and
and
keep it
be
at a good
sensitive,
line.
like understanding and sensitive of others and their differences around you for sure.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Camille. I really appreciate you letting me ask you all these questions today.
You're welcome.
All right, thank you.
All right.